Hi everybody, this is SAAD. Yesterday and today I posted several additional comments and thoughts about the ongoing climate change uh, discussion that's been taking place, and so I wanted to weigh in several ways. And so what I'd like to begin by doing is reading a few of my posts, and then maybe I'll add a few additional commentaries. As a child, I grew up in the most brutal civil war imaginable. Every second of every day, I faced death that might visit us in endless ways. Snipers might kill us, shelling might kill us, a roadblock of unfriendly militia might lead to our death, as would our being Jewish. And those were the good days of the war. Yet, we have the prophet of doom living in the safest reality that humanity has ever known, lecture the world about the endless dangers that she faces because, quote, you evil pigs have stolen her youth, close quote. And yesterday, when I was making some comments, I ended my set of tweets with the following. To reiterate, there are countless important problems facing humanity, including climate change. It serves no purpose to turn a crucial issue worthy of our collective attention into a hysterical cult of doom. I think I could probably end the clip here, and my message is clear enough, but let me add a few points. I grew up trying to recover from a childhood where for many decades after leaving Lebanon, I would have nightmares that would be of one of several forms, and I discussed this briefly in my forthcoming book. I would be dreaming that we are under siege, about to be attacked and killed, and I have a gun to protect myself, or a rifle or a machine gun, and then we would run out of ammos, and I would wake up in terror. A variant of that nightmare is that I would have a nightmare that the weapon that I was using would lock and I was unable to fire, and then I would wake up in terror. My parents were kidnapped by Fatah in Lebanon when I was a child, younger than the prophet of doom, and I didn't know if they were, going to come out of it. As a matter of fact, as they had disappeared, I hadn't even been told that they had disappeared. It's only after they were rescued and were returned to Montreal after going through some unbelievably bad things that I realized what they had gone through. I spent my youth, when I was younger than the prophet of doom, wondering and obsessing as to whether my mother had been gang raped by her captors. I don't think I've ever mentioned this point, and there are many other ever in public, and I probably, I'm not sure how many of the other stories that I know from my childhood I will mention. My point here is to make it clear that children do go through horrors in the ugly world that we sometimes create through the dark hearts of humans. The prophet of doom is not one such child. And those who say, well, don't focus on her, you're missing the point. She now has a platform whereby she is poisoning the minds of millions of children, thinking as though they're about to go extinct, probably by next Tuesday. It is perfectly fair and appropriate to criticize such an approach, to criticize someone who engages in such grotesque fear-mongering with zero epistemic humility and infinite sanctimony. So when I share my story of my childhood, it's to contextualize what it is to have a stolen childhood, to wake up in terror at having seen things that no adult, let alone a child, should experience. The prophet of doom has not had her childhood stolen. It is a grotesque collective Munchausen manifestation to weep and clap at her message. There are millions of people who are fully and perfectly aware of the challenges of climate change without requiring that we engage in irrational hysteria and suboptimal messaging, as I explained in one of my recent social media posts. So again, the positions that I take are in no way manifestations of science denialism. I have a section in my book on the idiocy of science denialism. I spent 25 years as a professor, so I don't need to be lectured about the importance of science. Most of my public engagement exercises is about defending science and reason and logic. So no one is contesting the fact that climate change is a terribly important issue, that we should put great minds on the problem to work on it. But the way that I would go about it is to tell my daughter, by the way, it's, I think, National Daughters Day today, that she could be whatever she wants to be when she grows up, that the future can be a beautiful place, that she could contribute to that wonderful future by becoming a scientist and contributing in some small or big way to the challenge that faces us. It is certainly not by engaging in the faux hysteria that the prophet of doom is engaging in that it's going to compel people. Yes, she draws attention, but she turns off a lot of people and scares a lot of children unnecessarily so. There is a phenomenon related to what's called the inverted U-shape of fear appeals. Too little fear when you're presenting a message doesn't get people's attention. Too much fear causes people to either discount you as a quack or to simply say, well, the fear is so great, might as well have some French fries and smoke because we're going to die tomorrow. There is some intermediate level of fear that is appropriate. That's what a consumer psychologist would do when studying the optimal messaging that is required to compel people to engage in a set of actions. So again, to all of the imbeciles, I'm not denying climate change. I'm not denying that there is quite a bit of scientific evidence suggesting that this is an important problem. What I am commenting about is a prophet of doom who stands up and makes it seem that suffering begins and starts with her when she is about as far away from an instantiation of suffering as a child as one can get. Speak to someone who's gone through the horrors of the most brutal war ever about childhood suffering. Have a good day, everybody.